Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining me today. I'm Jennie Montgomery. Today, we're talking about all things breastfeeding. In fact, World Breastfeeding Week starts tomorrow, August 1st. We've got specialists from the Medical College of Georgia, the CSRA Breastfeeding Coalition, and the best authority of all, a mom who nursed both of her babies and loves to encourage other mothers to breastfeed. Listen to this. In 2005, the initiation breastfeeding rate for the CSRA was 50%. Fast forward 12 years later to 2017, and the number of new moms starting out with the breast over the bottle was close to 80%. The U.S. is consistently last among all developed countries in breastfeeding, which may have a lot to do with the stigma of mothers nursing in public. Take the recent case of a Cincinnati mother who says she was shunned from a public pool for that very reason. She says a lifeguard came over and asked her to leave, that she was breaking pool rules. She said the law was on her side. He then called a manager and discovered she was right. And just last weekend, two mothers fought back after being told to cover up while they were breastfeeding their babies at a pool in Minnesota. Ariel Reshef explains.
It's their right to nurse when and where they want.
A Minnesota pool becoming a site for protest as dozens of moms flock to feed their little ones to prove a point.
No mother has to feel the way that I was made to feel, humiliated and shamed. Patron at the pool told me that I need to cover because her sons were swimming.
The city saying a teen then politely asked the moms to be more discreet or relocate to another area. When they did not, it created an untenable situation.
Apparently there's a mother breastfeeding in the shallow end and not being very discreet about it.
They took their frustration to Facebook, claiming staff broke a Minnesota law. It says a mother may breastfeed in any location, public or private, where the mother and child are otherwise authorized to be.
It's about what the baby needs. The baby needs to eat. He or she doesn't care if somebody is uncomfortable.
The mom's post galvanizing a group of women in a show of solidarity.
Brandi Heath is an Augusta mom who is a big believer in breastfeeding, and she nursed both of her children while being a working mom. Like many new moms, she had to pump during the workday when she was away from her baby, but she had a private space and had cooling bags for the milk. Xander and Brinsley have no clue how hard their mom worked to provide them with the benefits of breast milk. And they are so cute, as you can see from that picture. Brandi Heath joins me now. Brandi is one of our producers here at News Channel 6, and I have watched her through both her pregnancies and the babies. And Brandi, you have, you just bring the supplies that you have needed to bring, and you have the Lactation Lounge.
The Lactation Lounge. Its nickname is the Lactation Lounge. Actually, a space I think they kind of made up when myself and another employee were having a baby at the same time. But yeah, I mean, just because you're a working mother or you're a busy mother doesn't mean that you're no longer a mother. And so that means that whatever you need with you, you take it. And even now, I know some pumps come equipped with like the ability to do it in the car, which I've done that before. While, you know, on long trips or what have you, and, you know, the baby may be sleeping, can't nurse, or driving and can't nurse, and so you plug it in, and I mean, you just do what you have to, because it's the best thing for them, so that's what I did.
How long did you feed your babies, breastfeed your babies? Hopefully you're still feeding them.
I'm still feeding them, yeah, not breast milk, but I am still feeding them. The first baby, my little boy, he probably made it about 6 months. I wasn't as well versed with how to keep up with him. And so on my second baby, my little girl, we made it all the way to 12 months. Now, they didn't nurse the entire time. Oftentimes, I just pumped and they would drink from a bottle because Dad wants to be involved and had to go to work. So that means that they still got their breast milk, but they often used a bottle after they got done nursing, so yeah.
Breastfeeding is something that you're just really passionate about.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Why is that?
I think it's the best gift you can give your baby. The reason why I say that is because of the benefits of breast milk, their IQ, them not getting sick. I really didn't realize that until probably the second baby. And the reason why I say that is because whatever the mom is fighting, you create antibodies for that. And so I was often worried, like, should I continue to give my baby this breast milk? And the doctor was like, absolutely. So to prevent the house from getting sick, everybody got milk because that way I could prevent the toddler and the newborn from getting sick with the breast milk. So
I never felt like I had the kind of spiritual connection about breastfeeding that a lot of women do. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I guess I get what you're saying. I won't say in the beginning I felt, oh, this is so spiritual, this is great, because it's uncomfortable and you're wondering, am I doing it right? Are they eating enough? But later on, I have to say I do appreciate having that connection. Not so much the part where they're just so attached to you, not that, but I like that I could provide that for them. I felt like overall it was good for the whole family, and the reason why I say that is because it doesn't cost any money to get breast milk. Now you need supplies, of course, especially if you're going to do it for a while, but I felt like that was best for my family as far as me learning to be a mother, having a connection with this. Yeah, he lived inside of me for 9 months, but he was a foreign being, you know, for all intents and purposes he was. And so that kind of helped us learn each other, and I do feel like we have a special bond because of it. And I don't know, it's like an achievement, I guess. You feel like, look at what I'm doing for my baby. Like, yeah, I brought him here, but now I'm helping them, you know, maintain sustenance, what have you. So it felt really good. It did feel good.
Well, thank you for sharing your feelings about breastfeeding. This whole show today is about breastfeeding because, as we said already, World Breastfeeding Week starts tomorrow. Who knew there was World Breastfeeding Week? Right. So don't go away because we're going to find out much more. You know about the benefits breast milk provides to babies, but now researchers at the Medical College of Georgia think specific cells in breast milk help protect mom from getting an infection from her baby. Details, plus MCG's Milk Bank after the break. In May, South Carolina lawmakers passed legislation to make nursing mothers feel a little more comfortable in public and the workplace. The law requires bosses of new moms to allow more and longer work breaks for breastfeeding and to provide a space for it.
It gives mothers a chance to still connect with their babies in that way. It builds up the immune system of the babies, and so I think that is a right that every mother should have, and it's a right that should be supported in the workplace.
And you know, we just heard Brandi talk about the benefits of that kind of support on an emotional level. New research shows there are all kinds of benefits, not just to the baby, but to the nursing mother. Dr. Jack Yu is with me right now. He's the chief of pediatric plastic surgery and a craniofacial surgeon at the Medical College of Georgia at Augusta University. And Amy Gates is a neonatal nutritionist at MCG, and she has been telling me fascinating information about the neonatal milk bank. Fascinating, the milk lab there, and she'll be telling us about that in a minute. But first of all, Dr. Yu, if you could tell us a little bit about what your study has shown in terms of these specific cells that you're able to isolate and see how they help protect mom as well as are beneficial for baby.
Sure. About a decade ago, a new class of cells were discovered called innate lymphoid cells. They behave like lymphocytes, but they don't have the markers for lymphocytes. So they're sort of ready to go. They're the first responders. They don't need to produce antibodies, or they don't need to have new receptors to target the bacteria. They are ready to go, hit the ground running, so to speak. Yeah. And so we got the IRB approval and collected a series of breast milk, fresh breast milk, about an ounce. And then we immediately took them to the lab, spinned it down, and we went through the protocol and hunt for those cells. And indeed, they were there, and they were there by large concentrations. And the particular type that has the most presence is the one that is the most capable of killing bacteria. So mom is very likely helping the baby by providing the ILC. And also, since almost 30% of the mom who failed to breastfeed for the entire 6 months, 12 months because of mastitis. So since you have a lot of nutrient collecting in the breast tissue, and when baby nurse, you can have a two-way communication. So some of the bacteria can certainly get into the milk duct. So having these lymphoid cells around probably protects the mom.
You think about the babies who are in NICU, too small to be fed, but then they have mothers with milk they need to express.
Right. So our NICU is a level 4 NICU, and in our NICU we have extremely small babies, very sick babies, babies that undergo heart-lung bypass, a number of critically ill babies, and these babies are often separated from their mothers for sometimes weeks and months at a time, and then many of the babies are either too immature, as in physically too small and too sick to actually latch at the breast. They don't have the capability of doing that, especially our premature babies. That skill doesn't develop until later on in development, and so some of these babies will spend sometimes 10, 12 weeks on a feeding tube. So mothers will have to express their breast, and we will take the milk that they express, and then we adjust it a little bit sometimes for our premature babies, adding in specific things that may be missing because of a specific need that a preemie may have. Right. And then we put it into a feeding tube and feed it that way. And so many of our mothers will have to spend sometimes 8 times a day expressing milk that then we collect from them, and that's a process that's ongoing throughout the baby's stay. But we use about 20,000 ounces a year of donated milk, but that milk again has gone through extensive screening processes. It has been returned to us having been pasteurized and with nutrient analysis, and so that we're very confident and sure of what's in the milk. Preemies have a very special nutrient profile that they require because they are, they should be attached to a placenta, and we are trying to mimic that, and that takes a lot of manipulation. So we do a little bit of manipulation of the milk to make sure it's going to meet those very high nutrient needs, and that's what we'll do in the lab is we'll adjust based on the baby's growth parameters and his lab values and those sorts of things. We'll add back specific nutrients to the milk like salt and potassium and sometimes protein to get it to where the baby needs it, and then we'll deliver that, and that'll be fed through a feeding tube sometimes for many weeks until the mother and baby, typically the baby around 34 weeks gestation, which many of our babies are born at 23 weeks, so it may be 10, 12 weeks or more before they can physically latch at their mother's breast. But we work with her and the baby throughout the process so that when they're both physically ready, they can actually latch and we can take the feeding tube away.
I have to ask one more question before we go. Dr. Yu, as a pediatric plastic surgeon, one of the things that you deal with is cleft palate. That, I guess, would impede a baby's ability in cases to be able to nurse.
Correct. With the cleft palate, the babies cannot generate the negative pressure necessary. But once the food is delivered, the milk is delivered to the back of the mouth, their swallowing is fine. Okay. So we modify the bottle, so rather than the baby having to suckle, the mom will express the formula from the bottle. They usually cannot nurse because they cannot generate the negative pressure necessary.
It was something you said, suck, breathe, swallow?
Suck, swallow, breathe. Yeah. And that's a coordination that has to happen in order for the baby to continue to breathe while they suck. Yeah. And there are a number of prematurity cleft palate, cleft lip where they can't physically do that, but that doesn't mean they can't take breast milk. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. So mother can express the milk, and then the milk can be fed, sometimes through a bottle if necessary, and other times through a feeding tube if the bottle doesn't work.
Well, this is fascinating, and it's information today that I have just never even thought about because, luckily I haven't been in a situation like that so many mothers have with a very sick infant. But it's great to know that there are people like you who are helping make accommodations for that while you heal the littlest ones among us. So thank y'all both for being here today, Dr. Yu and Amy Gates. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Coming up, if 90% of American mothers breastfed exclusively for 6 months, the United States would save $18+ billion in healthcare costs. More astounding statistics coming up as World Breastfeeding Week starts tomorrow.
A recent study suggests breastfeeding does not have a big impact on a child's long-term cognitive development or behavior. Researchers followed nearly 7,500 Irish children from the time they were 9 months old. They found that kids who breastfed for at least 6 months had lower rates of hyperactivity and improved problem-solving skills at age 3. But the gap between children who were breastfed and those who were not was basically closed by the time the children turned 5. Other medical benefits of breastfeeding are well established, like helping newborns fight infections and helping preterm infants get stronger. For today's Health Minute, I'm Kim Hutcherson.
That study, which was published in the journal Pediatrics, found that once factors like education and income level are accounted for, the differences between the two groups are minimal. The CSRA Breastfeeding Coalition is made up of lactation consultants, WIC peer counselors, physicians, nurses, and mothers. Members attend breastfeeding conferences, recognize employers supporting breastfeeding, promote community education and advocacy, and have a presence at community events. And we're so happy to have with us today Sally Wood, who is the chair of the CSRA Breastfeeding Coalition, and Simone Williams, who's co-chair, and she is the WIC peer counselor, or she is a WIC peer counselor. And the WIC breastfeeding is really huge in our area. And as Sally was pointing out, it is more than just formula. And part of your job is to help physicians understand this.
Yes, ma'am. We want to educate all of our moms, and so that they can make an informed decision on whether they're going to breastfeed or not. So we get to see these moms early on, and they can ask their physicians these questions and making sure that they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, yeah. And Sally, that's part of what the whole Breastfeeding Coalition is about, is to raise awareness and educate.
Yes, in our community. Our logo is to promote and educate and encourage breastfeeding, and we try to touch all areas, whether it's physicians, whether it's hospital employees, even lactation consultants. We educate ourselves at our meetings, and trying to reach out to employers to let them know what the law is, as far as so that they can help their moms, pump their milk while they're there, because it's a federal law that they can allow them to do so.
Now you're a nurse, and you are a lactation consultant.
Yes, I am. I presently work and have been at Doctor's Hospital for many, many years. I also have a private lactation practice where I do home visits as well and do rental pumps. So that's just one, actually the hospital or me or WIC, there's all kinds of resources for moms in the area to help them with breastfeeding.
You know, it's interesting that we've said, even in this show, that the United States is just so far behind other, developed countries when it comes to accepting breastfeeding, and there's still a stigma attached to it. In terms of breastfeeding. I mean, oh my gosh, I remember having to go, when I was nursing my babies, into a bathroom stall, a public bathroom stall, to nurse.
Yes.
And that's not pleasant.
No.
And I do see now how things have changed, and a lot of times in places you'll see like a little nursing room with a rocking chair.
Yeah. That's right. We are getting there. It wasn't overnight that we got to where we are. And but we are improving day by day. We have more baby-friendly hospitals in this country now. Again, we do have the federal law that helps us. I think one difference between us and other developed countries is our maternity leave is very, very short. Most moms are going back to school, to work around 6 to 8 weeks, where some countries they give 6 months to a year.
And the coalition is sponsoring several community events. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to next week?
So we're going to do some things on Fort Gordon. We'll have, instead of bingo, we're going to call it latch. And then we will be over at the mall doing, just have a nice little informational table. We will do the big latch on Friday at 10:30. Go to our CSRA Breastfeeding Coalition page, and we'll have all the details there.
The big latch sounds like a group breastfeeding or something?
Yes, it is, and has been, that's gone on for years and years, and it's worldwide, and it's there's an organization called that, and it's on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Organizations can coordinate so that at the same time, all over at 10:30 on one of those days, everybody everywhere you know, in that group can be breastfeeding. Just show support for breastfeeding.
Simone and Sally, thank you both for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Up next, wait till you see the reunion of these darling Disney princesses. Don't go away. We leave you today with one of the cutest videos you are going to see, especially in a show when we've been talking all about babies. 1 year later, a California photographer and her 6 Disney princesses reunite. In 2017, Karen Marie dressed up 6 newborns as Jasmine, Belle, Cinderella, Aurora, Snow White, and Ariel. She posted it on Facebook and it received well over 17 million views. Now they're all celebrating their first birthday and she dressed them up again as those Disney princesses. Her new photo is going viral as well. Thanks again to my guests. Brandi Heath for being so candid about her breastfeeding experience, and also to Amy Gates and Dr. Jack Yu and Sally Wood and Simone Williams. They gave us such great information, and you can find links to the different Facebook pages and especially the CSRA Breastfeeding Coalition. All you have to do is go to WJBF.com and click the Jennie link. That is all the time we have today. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone, and I'll see you again next Tuesday at 12:30 for Jennie.